What's up, everybody? It's the Digital World Podcast, and I'm gonna go ahead and show you this clip because I think it encompasses what I'm trying to get at. And if if you're curious as to what video this is, it's there. You can look them up. Their name is AD Disc or Amazing Discoveries, and then I'll just put it up here. You can amazing discoveries. Okay, then you guys can look them up and watch this video on your own. But it's essentially kind of encapsulating what is happening with this whole climate change, and this whole pandemic, and it's just trying to make sense of the things that are happening in this world. And I highly encourage to go and look this video up and other of their videos. They're really good. Now, I'm going to go ahead and play this clip and pay attention because this is really, really crucial.
We've signed a climate convention on the importance of economic instruments and free markets. Were included in this mammoth Agenda 21 document and the Rio...
Which is now also Agenda 2030. So you can look that stuff up too.
Let me be clear on one fundamental point. The United States fully intends to be the world's preeminent leader in protecting the global environment.
So what are some of the interesting things that you guys seen in this first clip while I grab the other one?
Yes, there is something interesting in that. He quite categorically said that the United States has to be the leader when it comes to the environmental issues. Now, it seems as though the opposite happened under the Trump administration because they withdrew from the Paris Accord. But Donald Trump had a very interesting statement where he said that in spite of their withdrawal, the United States is actually ahead of all the countries in terms of implementing the agreement that was reached in Paris. So they are streets ahead of any other nation when it comes to compliance, even though they've withdrawn. And now the president has said that he will take the United States back into that forum, and it would actually enter into that forum as the leader because, according to Donald Trump, they are ahead of the other nations. So still everything went according to plan, even though it seemed not to go according to plan.
Okay, so we see that they're very much on the same trajectory, even if they almost seem that they're not, as the United Nations goals here. So now here's a couple interesting clips where Bush Sr. is saying that we need to fulfill the dreams of the founders of the United Nations.
This is an historic moment. We have in this past year made great progress in ending the long era of conflict and Cold War. We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order, a world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations. When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision of the UN's founders.
So he was very...
And there you go. And so the United Nations are playing a key role in what's happening. And there you see it's George H.W. Bush. Okay, this was back in the 80s, 90s, late 80s, early 90s, where he's making these statements. And what do we see happening today? What does President Biden have to say about the United States and its involvement? And why are we seeing a huge push for climate change? And especially coming from the United Nations.
I stand here today for the first time in 20 years with the United States not at war. We've turned the page. all the unmatched strength, energy, and commitment, will, and resources of our nation are now fully and squarely focused on what's ahead of us, not what was behind. I know this. As we look ahead, we will lead. We will lead on all the greatest challenges of our time, from COVID to climate, peace and security, human dignity and human rights, but we will not go it alone. We will lead together with our allies and partners and in cooperation with all those who believe as we do that this is within our power to meet these challenges, to build a future that lifts all of our people and preserves this planet. But none of this is inevitable. It's a choice. And I can tell you where America stands. We will choose to build a better future. We, you and I, we have the will and capacity to make it better. Ladies and gentlemen, we cannot afford to waste any more time. Let's get to work. Let's make our better future now. We can do this. It's within our power and capacity. Thank you.
There you have it. So he's telling you where he stands and what the United States stance is, and they're going to lead in this. Okay, and they're going to change and support all these other developing nations. And so, folks, this is something that's been talked about for a while, and I showed you clips of George H.W. Bush talking about it. And here it's presenting itself in full force. And so now you got to make the decision. What do you think this is all about? I hope I can make you critically think and think about these things, because it's happening right before your eyes. I hope this episode has brought you some value. Like and subscribe. Comment below. Let me know what your thoughts are. Do you think this has been a plan all along from way back when? Let me know in the comment section below. It's the Digital World Podcast, and I'll see you in the next episode.